This is Deb Nicholson with the Open Invention Network. I am, of course, Robin Miller, Rob Limo to some of you, with Phosphorus. And we're going to talk about the Open Invention Network, which is not nearly as well known as it should be. So take it away, Deb.
Great. So we're a defensive patent pool. We were formed around 10 years ago. Our goal is to see less patent aggression in the Linux, GNU, Android, free and open source software communities. It's a membership. Once you sign in, no one else in the pool will sue you. The idea is just less and less suing around patents in the Linux and Android space.
So how many hundreds of thousands of dollars would it cost me as an individual or a small-time developer? How much?
It's free. We want people to join because the larger the non-aggression community is, the less we all have to worry about getting sued for patent infringement.
So then I would be giving up my right to sue IBM for use of my patent on using jazz hands as a way to do something.
I feel like that one's really got to be expired by now. But if it were still a patent and you joined, you would not be able to sue any of our members, including IBM, for patent infringement. Along those things, I don't think that jazz hands actually would fall in scope, because it probably doesn't have anything to do with Linux or GNU or Android. But if it did, and Jazz Hands was just a clever name for some piece of the operating system, then you wouldn't be able to sue IBM for it.
Well, we would use it as a visual control of some sort.
Oh, yeah, gesture-based work, sure.
Sure. So then you're saying that I would be giving up my right to sue. Okay, I can handle that because...
Just other members, not anyone outside of the pool. So if you got sued, and then also if you got sued, you could of course retaliate.
Didn't you used to work for the Free Software Foundation?
I did, and so I met Evan Moglen when we were having a conversation about updating GPLv2 to GPLv3, which Evan was a part of that conversation. Yes. So he came in the office a few times during that process.
So how did you go? Because there's obviously a direct line from the Free Software Foundation to the Open Invention Network.
Well, and we don't really have any sort of, there's no fiscal relationship, of course.
Right.
But obviously, I talked to a lot of the same people about the software patent issue and how it impacts free and open source software. One of the things that I did in the last year that I was working at the FSF is we started talking to people about software patents because the Bilski case was going through the courts, and we thought it was going to end up in the Supreme Court, which it did. And the courts... their decision was pretty disappointing. It was, if you read the opinion, it basically reads like, if there were some sort of problem where software patent aggression was causing a chilling effect on innovation, then we might be moved to do something about the scope of patentability, which is, that's now a number of years ago, but it still was pretty obvious to most people in the free software community that there was already a chilling effect on innovation.
So wait a minute. But you, aside from the freebie members, you have a number of big-time corporate members, have you not, who do contribute?
We do have members that contribute. Our founding members contributed because it's, to be honest, I imagine they do it because it's cheaper than fighting a handful of lawsuits from each other each year. So, like I said, lawsuits are expensive.
But do you have funding to fight them?
So we do not bring lawsuits. That's not a thing that we do.
No. But do you fight them? Do you defend against?
No. What we do is provide resources for, and not financial, but sometimes help and advice, and sometimes the pool has something cross-licensed in it that they can use for defense. Okay, so has this actually staved off, to your knowledge, has it staved off any problem? I don't know. I think it makes it look a little less appealing to sue OIN members than to sue someone who's got no patents or one or two patents. But most of the way that those deals go down is that part of the agreement is that no one involved ever speaks of it ever again.
Try that again. I didn't understand that.
So a lot of times when you settle a lawsuit out of court, one of the conditions is that neither party ever speaks of it again.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you don't know, but you
I
suspect.
don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm actually not privy to those conversations. So I don't have to worry about keeping those secrets if there are any, but they're, so I don't actually know. I do think that we see less suing internally within the community because we've sort of made it seem like, there's a completely viable alternative to patent aggression. So why would you not choose the nice, peaceful, like, let's all get along solution when it's completely, it's here, it's viable. We have 2,000 plus companies using it already. It makes you look like the bully if you don't want to join.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I've never thought of. What's your actual job title? What do you actually do?
So my title is Director of Community Outreach, which mostly means I go to conferences and I'm available on social media and I talk to people about what the Open Invention Network does. A lot of times people, they're kind of head down in their stuff and they don't think of the legal issues until they see me or they see someone, or unfortunately sometimes not until they get a letter. And then they're like, oh, it's come to my attention that I should pay some attention to this topic. Like, uh-oh. And so I try to each year at a number of different conferences give people kind of like what's the new trends, new threats, new things that we don't have to worry about anymore, although we're pretty light on those usually, and just kind of like what the evolving community response is.
So what kind of new threats are we seeing?
Well, so some of the things that I think are like kind of on the to watch list, we had a really great court case 2 years ago now, Alice versus CLS Bank, which really narrowed the scope of patentability to get rid of a lot of the junk and low quality patents in the space. But we're starting to see a little backlash, and that's in the U.S. courts. But we're also seeing more movement to include more specific language around the scope of patentability in international trade agreements. So that's like way above my pay grade, but it does mean that it may be harder for countries that sign those agreements to do anything a little bit more DIY about the scope of patentability in their nation.
So thinking of which, members, do you have any members in China and other countries?
We do have some members. A lot of our members are in more than one country, but we do have folks in Asia, and I'm not sure if we do in China specifically. I know we have a lot of Japanese companies and Korean companies because I have colleagues that work out of those places. I'd be surprised if we had no one from China, but I can't think of anyone famous that off the top of my head.
But if you were a smaller, or like I see all those Android developers out of China, including a few whose apps I use and enjoy, they should join, shouldn't they?
Yeah, well, especially if you have like no or just a handful of patents, the access to cross-license stuff that you get when you join OIN it's a pretty great deal.
But even if you have no patents?
You can join if you have no patents.
Okay, so I can join because I have no patents.
Yeah, you'd need to name something that you'd want to have in the pool for it to be, useful. But
such as?
I don't know, some software you wrote.
What if I've never written software?
Then you probably don't need to join. But if you managed software or you oversaw software or you contracted for software or you paid to have a certain amount of software written for your use, it might be useful for you to join.